Hey guys, it's EJ again, and we got some Shadow Priest changes last night. It looks like per my previous guide, I might have some thought processes on changing some things. But a lot of classes got changed. Well, I will start out saying Ellie got nerfed, so that's huge for us. Shadow Priest. Ellie's a bully of Shadow Priest, so their lava burst got nerfed. So you guys haven't seen the changes, I'll link the link below. You guys can check that out. Ret Pally's got nerfed. That's good. That's also a good plus for us. And a few other things got nerfed that are actually good for us as Shadow Priest. But I'm going to go over the priest changes today specifically. And give you guys my thought process. And then I'm going to go test it on the beta. And then I should have a beta guide out by tomorrow, if not today. All right. So that being said, let's go and look into this. So Void Shift is capped at twice the priest's health, it says. I actually have no idea that Void Shift was capped. I thought it was 100% of whatever the health bar was, but it says healing done from Void Shift to the priest ally is now capped at twice the priest's health. So I'm assuming that's for tanks. Maybe there's like a build where tanks can get an insane amount of health. I would have to assume. But PvP, this has no effect. From Darkness Come Light, got a buff. So if you guys don't know what that is the talent that is shared a choice node with the wall flash heal. So when you flash heal, you get a 10% wall. This is the other choice node that I used to run back in the day. It also used to be a legendary in Shadowlands, but they buffed it. So instead of 1% for 50, which was 50%, it's now 3% for 20, which is 60%. So, two things about this, right? The healing of Flash Heal is healed by 3%, stacks to 20. What does that mean? It stacks faster, right? So it stacks faster by a lot and heals for more. So essentially, this huge Flash Heal can come in huge, handy in Arena. Like imagine if somebody swaps your healer or they're gonna kill your Warlock. You can have a huge heal fast all the time. Like it's up all the time. This could be a huge benefit considering they buffed Flash Shield and Power Life going into the War Within. So this could be very good for hybrid. This is also going to be very good for double DPS 2s if that's going to be a thing. Hopefully it is. You guys know, you guys have been following me for a while. I love my double DPS 2s. It's the only time I actually like to play 2s. So I would like to have all the brackets available to me. So this could be huge for that. And then you can take the wall talent if you're going to be trained by like melee and you need that to survive. Cautery Shadows got healed by 60%. That's just a flat buff considering we run this talent just to get to the 2% damage reduction from Shadow Word Pain. Like I said, all those things stack up. If you want to be tanky and you want to live, you take that talent. If you're not being trained, you can swap out of it, but just the fact that you have to take this talent to get to it and it's buffed by 60%. Could be good for PvE, can be really good for leveling. It also could just be really good against pet classes if it heals for enough. So this could be really good. Something I want to talk to you down here, because these don't matter right here. These other ones don't matter. Other than we got an animation to phase shift, or void shift. I want to see what that looks like today when I get on the beta. Look right here, manipulation and Surge of Light. We don't take Surge of Light. That's the talent that when you heal, you have a chance to get a free flash heal. That's what we used to go down the tree, old like season 1, season 2, to get to Powered Life if we were going to take it for a 2s build where you could just heal forever. But now we have that choice node to go through Divine Star and then the Desperate Prayer being bigger and then Powered Life or the 3% increased healing. So this doesn't matter, but manipulation, that is the wall. The 2% damage reduction we get for having Shadow Word Pain up, it's now a 1-point talent, right? So what does that mean? That is actually huge for us because that frees up a guaranteed spot for either Angelic Bulwark now to be even tankier or the Phantom Reach baseline. So now we get to have one of those baseline now at all times instead of trying to swap out of things based on the comp. So now we get to have that baseline. So that's huge. Either a farther range talent or we get a shield. So I love that. I love that manipulation is only a 1-point talent for a 2% damage reduction. That's huge for us. Okay. that being said, now let's go on to the changes that could be big. I haven't really liked Archon that much. I know a lot of people look like it does a lot of damage. It's pad, right? It's AoE with your Halo, so it looks like you're doing a lot of damage when you're just hitting everything in the area, but it doesn't do that much. But it does have a burst capability and consistent pressure capability through its Mind Flays, right? Because it has a huge increase to Mind Flay on the right side. It gives you like empoweredness, and then you have Perfect Form, which is a huge buff to your Dark Ascension and to your Void Eruption. So you get a lot of damage through that, and when that's up, your Mind Flays hit for a lot. The issue I have at Archon is it's very easy to stop. All the damage is through Mind Flay and through your Void Form, so it's very easy to just shut down a Mind Flay, right? If they know you're playing Archon and you have one School of Magic, and all they're going to do is only kick the Mind Flay because that's your damage. They don't have to kick DTs, they don't have to kick Void Torrents. They know your damage is through big Mind Flays. It's so easy to stop, and I don't like that. So the reason I like Void Weaver, which I'm gonna keep testing, is Void Weaver has on the go damage, right? You can fade, feather, and then Void Torrent and keep running, and then they can't kick you if they're not right on you. It summons the little star. If it's a melee, they're in it no matter what, and then it explodes. It's guaranteed damage, and then you have your little Shadow Fiend Sci-Flay thing. If you're spec'd into it, every 1 minute, it's just guaranteed damage, 10% increased damage on your go. So it kind of counterbalances the Archon buffs a little bit. It's a little less, but you know what I mean. There's a lot to it, and I'm liking that more. But I'm gonna test Archon today and see how it feels. But that being said, it got buffed by 60%, and then in PvP it got nerfed by 50%. So by base math, it's like a 5% buff. It looks like you get a 5% buff overall, but it looks like they're not trying to have this super strong in PvP to begin with. So just seeing a nerf like this makes me think they're keeping an eye on it. So they don't want huge one-shot Mind Flays, I'm assuming. But we'll have to see. But this is where I was talking about the Perfect Form. It got buffed by 20% in Void Form, by 5% in Void Form, 15 to 20. And then Dark Ascension goes from 10 to 12. If you guys don't know, Dark Ascension got nerfed on top of this. We're about to go down. So the Dark Ascension alone, it got weaker if you're playing Mind Spike builds. None of this down here matters. We got another nerf on Void Blast. I don't know why. It feels like it doesn't really hit that hard in PvP. They must be doing a lot in PvE with cleaving, probably with Psychic Link, I would have to assume. But in PvP, you hardly even get it off if you don't have a proc, because your globals for Mind Flay Insanity hit harder than your Void Blast does. So if you have a Mind Flay Insanity, you generally want to get that off first if you can, unless you have the time for it. Then you Void Blast, Mind Flay Insanity for a lot of damage. But you generally don't have that global, right? You're in Void Form. You have your Torrent out, right? You have your thingy. So one of your globals is going to go to a Devouring Plague to empower your Rift. Then you're going to use a Void Bolt. Then you can maybe do a Mind Blast there. Then you're going to do a Mind Flay Insanity. And then you're out of time, right? The 8 seconds are up, essentially. So Void Blast in PvP needs a buff, I think, because it's not a priority spell. Because it's been nerfed so much, it doesn't hit that hard. If it hit harder than everything by a substantial amount, you would press it, right? It'd make Mind Blast worth. I generally only be getting value off procs. Like, based on the rotation and how hard Mind Flay Insanity hits, I've been prioritizing Mind Flay Insanity into a Void Blast, and then maybe an instant Void Blast if I have the proc, right, from Shadowy Insight. We'll have to see. I just haven't found a very good place for Void Blast unless I'm free casting, right? If I'm free casting, then I can Void Blast, Mind Flay Insanity, for freaking whatever, right? Like, a lot of damage can go into it. We're going to skip Disc because we're not Disc players here, guys. We're not Holy players here. Shadow. Big juiciness right down here. Ready, guys? 3% baseline buff to damage. I felt like we did pretty good damage. I don't think we were overpowered. I didn't think we were D tier. I thought we were a decent A tier. Like mid of the pack A tier. So a 3% flat buff to us. We take that, right? I mean, I wish we'd have got this one, right? The 10% or 5%. But we'll take the 3% and stay happy because we weren't feeling that bad. I will say a lot of other classes got huge buffs, like Warlock, and that's scary. But we play with Warlock, so fingers crossed we can outlive them. Here's the Dark Ascension nerf that I was talking about down here. It went from 25% to 20%. So it got a nerf by 5% here, and then if you're playing Archon, it got a nerf, or got a buff by 2% here. So about, if you're playing Archon, you got like a 3% damage difference baseline, but it's actually less because it's Dark Ascension is 12% of this nerfed to 20%, right? So it's technically still lower because of the fact that it wasn't 25%. So you got to think of it like that. Mind Flay Insanity, this is the most amazing buff I've ever seen, ever. So our Mind Flay Insanities on retail tick for about 1.4 seconds with full gear and haste. Because we're at the end of the expansion. They made it baseline, right? They made baseline from 2 seconds to 1.5 seconds now. So generally, we're at 1.4 with full haste, so it feels good to get a Mind Flay Insanity off, right? Well, now we have that baseline with low haste in Season 1, right? So now our Mind Flay Insanities are going to be like PI Insanities when we have gear now. So when I get on the beta, I'm going to test it. But this should be relatively around 1.2 seconds Season 1. A 1.2 second Mind Flay Season 1. With PI, it should be like 0.9 seconds. For the simple fact that they made it baseline 1.5. Which is what it is now, essentially, on retail. So we essentially have really fast Mind Flays without gear. And then gear. It's going to feel great to hit it over Mind Spike Insanity. It's just going to feel really good to hit this ability. Mind Melt says it stacks to 3 times, was 2, but on the tooltip, it says 4. So this has to be a bug, or maybe they typed this last part wrong. Maybe it says stacks to 3 times instead of 4, but it shows 4 for me. So I have to check that out. I will say Mind Spike now generates more Insanity through Mind Spike Insanity. I just feel like Mind Flay, with these changes, Mind Flay hits too hard to not go Mind Flay, and it casts too fast that the damage is so front-loaded that it outdoes Mind Spike. And this also gives us the option to maybe play Mind Trauma with how fast Mind Flays are. I doubt we will. We have too many honor talents. But we could, if we're not being trained and we don't need Fade, we can go Siphon in Mind Trauma with Shadow Play or any Caster Cleave. I mean, Frost Mage is looking really strong. They got nerfed on Ice Lance a little bit, but God Comp could be a thing again, right? We'll have to see. But and then they made the Mind Spike critical strike chance to 30%, so it'd be 100% essentially. It feels like Kata, right? 3 times 90%. Essentially, get a 1-shot. You can do it 2 times 60% plus a little bit of crit in your gear, right? Which we generally have. Essentially, going to get a guaranteed Mind Blast. This could be really good for big Void Blast, but Void Blast got nerfed, so you know what I mean? Like those cheesy builds, it's going to be hard to see. This is something I really want to test in order to figure out how good this is, okay? Mind Flay and Mind Seer from Idol of Cthulhu now deals damage 10 times over their channel's duration, was 15. Well, that being said, it was 15 because it was 15 seconds long, right? So 1 tick per second. This is either a nerf or a buff, right? So if this does 10 times over 10 seconds, then down here it got increased by 50%. That's a huge buff to our tendrils. Our little tendrils that we don't think about, that is going to make them do really good damage for just a passive ability. If it's 10 times over 15 seconds, like it is now, but still the same duration, and it got buffed by 50%, it's like, I can't even tell you how to calculate that, because we lose 5 ticks, right? We lose 5 ticks, but we gain 50%. I think it's like a 10% buff. I can't honestly tell you. I'm not that good in my head at math. But we lose 5 ticks to gain 50% damage, right? 5 ticks, 50% of 15 is 7.5 ticks. So with a 50% buff, that looks like it's a little bit of a buff. But I can't tell, right? We'll have to see. Apparently there is a bug fix to Psychic Link. But this is the kicker right here, guys. Fix an issue causing targeted Shadow Crash to not follow a moving target. So it is meant to be a homing missile. We're probably going to spec into it a lot now. Because let's just say you see a healer going for a drink. You just target and it shoots. Don't have to aim it. Don't have to worry if the Shadow Crash misses when they go around the corner. It follows them, right? So it should just theoretically go around the corner, hit them. Things like that are going to be insane because it saves time to aim and it saves time to click your ability. So this could be the new play. I do have to worry about if healers are already behind the pillar, you can't get them out anymore. But this could just be a more way to get casters, right? If casters are running around, you don't got to aim Shadow Crash, hope it hits them. You just shoot it and it follows them, and it's like essentially a damnation, but with just AOE, Vampiric Touch, and Pain. So I'm excited. I'm gonna try these out today, and I will let you guys know with my builds and my guide hopefully tomorrow or today. So let me know what you guys think. Leave a comment down below. And I think this looks good. I think this looks good for us, guys. See you in the next one.